Wait, is this thing on? I think it's on. I think we're recording. Hi everyone, I'm Sean and I'm a dad who does everything. Like and subscribe to the channel because today we're going to talk about Apple's Vision Pro and some of the most requested features from social media. So stay tuned.
Today's video is sponsored by people like you.
All right, so feature number one, probably the most requested, in my opinion, Apple's probably biggest mistake not to include during release, and that is good and adequate mouse support. Now, Apple officially says that the only mouse that will work with their headset is the Magic Trackpad, which is bewildering to me that they're not at least supporting the Magic Mice as well, which I have here from my laptop. The trackpad is a good device to use, and I think a lot of folks on social media that are using the Apple Vision as a productivity tool are using the trackpad and are having an okay experience with it. But for some of the rest of us who just, and I'm one of those that fall into this category, just don't really like using a touchpad. Doesn't matter if we're talking a laptop or even Apple's really well designed touchpad. A lot of people still just want to be able to use their Logitech MX mice, their, like I said earlier, the Magic Mouse, so on and so forth. Hopefully by Vision OS 2, they'll support a much wider variety of mice. Now, there are some hacks out there that include using accessibility features within Vision OS to use some other Bluetooth mice, but I will tell you that the compatibility is a mixed bag. I have seen others use this in conjunction with some cheap foldable keyboard and touchpad combinations on Amazon, like a $25 model or something like that they've been able to work as well. But again, I think that's a huge thing that Apple needs to add. I think it'll boost productivity for a lot of folks who like to use things outside the touchpad and just the normal hand gestures. And like I said, hopefully Vision OS 2 will see that. The second feature that we did discuss that is missing from the Apple Vision Pro is better iPhone integration. Now, when Apple released the headset, one of the features out of box was to be able to forward your text messages similar to how you do it with your iPad or any of your Mac OS devices, but they did not integrate phone call forwarding. And nothing is more cumbersome, in my opinion, than having to lift the headset to answer a phone call, even when you have your AirPods in, to switch everything over just to be able to take the phone call. That should have been a feature that Apple included on day one with the Vision. Hopefully, with either a dot release of Vision OS 1 or Vision OS 2, which they will add that feature. Again, something that when it comes to productivity is just another thing that's missing besides, just better mouse support. I think the third biggest feature that is being requested is multiple monitor support with Mac desktop sharing. Now, Apple's integrated feature only allows you to have one screen, max resolution 4K. And for some folks, especially when you got, a lot of applications that still don't have native, iPad OS and especially Vision OS, applications, being able to use multiple screens on your Mac to do productivity, again, the key is always productivity comes a lot of these features, is a huge thing that they're missing. Hopefully, again, something they'll either add here with one of the dot releases or, Vision OS 2 when that's announced. There is some hope in that space, though. Today, as of a few days ago, the Project Split Screen, or its first version of their Mac screening application to the Vision Pro App Store, it does allow you to have more than one screen. I believe it's the max is 2 from your Mac. And this does solve a lot of situations, especially where you're seeing folks that have like a personal Mac and a work Mac, and they have two separate Apple IDs, where the built-in Apple feature does not allow you to access that machine with an Apple ID that's not the same as what's on your Vision Pro. Split screen will also allow you to do that. There are a couple of caveats, however, today with split screen. The first is the resolution is capped at 1080p, which they are working on fixing that hopefully sooner rather than later. And the second is it does not work on Intel Macs. I can get it to work on my M2 Mac Mini, but I cannot get it to work on my Intel MacBook Pro. So split screen, though, does seem to be at least the application that is going to fill this feature request, at least here in the short term. The fourth feature is multiple audio sources. Now, there's been some reporting that on the original Vision OS release, so the one that came, version 1.0 that came on release day devices, apparently it may have been bugged because it's since been patched, but you could have multiple audio sources going at the same time. So you could have a movie and potentially Apple Music playing at the same time, or something playing in YouTube and Apple Music, or whatever the case is. But that does not seem to be the case anymore. And that is definitely a feature that a lot of folks would love to have and be able to take advantage of. And on audio as well, when we talk about the built-in way to access your Mac with the Vision, there is no direct audio streaming from your Mac to the headset. And so from an audio standpoint, folks would love to have a remote monitor solution, whether it's VNC, whether it's the built-in Mac sharing, or it's something like Split Screen or Moonlight. You're able to share stream audio from your Mac PC directly to your headset. Find My Device. So here's another feature that I'm surprised Apple did not release with the headset with Vision OS 1.0, and that is the Find My Devices. You can't track it. There's no GPS tracking. It doesn't have a GPS chip in it, so it wouldn't do GPS, but it's not doing any kind of tracking with Wi-Fi or anything of that nature. And that seems to me, for a device that's starting at $3,500, you'd want to be able to have some sort of tracking available. Again, another feature hopefully we'll see either in a dot release or Vision OS 2.0. All right, and probably the last big one, and that is a better App Store. So there's a lot of complaints that it's really hard to find apps in the App Store unless you know what to search for. But especially when it comes to looking through things like recommendations and top applications, so on and so forth, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to the App Store, which again is surprising to me, considering Apple has had a lot of experience in this, not only on iOS devices, but also on Mac OS. Again, as this thing progresses over the next months and even next year or two, we should hopefully see a much more improved, usable App Store, especially if we start seeing an influx of more and more Vision OS specific apps. We're going to need a better way to sort through those and find the one that's going to fit whatever we're trying to do. And finally, some features that I think would be kind of cool. They're like the nice to have things that maybe we'll see down the road. They're not things that I think will increase productivity, at least not necessarily too much, but things like having static objects like artwork. So you can have an environment that you've got scanned in, but if there's some way that Apple could make it so that you can hang a piece of artwork on the wall behind you, and no matter if you're here or at your office, or you travel to wherever and then you come back home, as soon as you put the headset on, that piece of artwork or that application even is exactly where you left it. From a productivity standpoint, the impact that would be great for is if you've got like a work environment, you've got, say, your kitchen table or your office, and you've got your MacBook screens, and you've got your Safari, and you've got whatever other applications that you have spread around your environment. If you could just instantly remember those when you're back in that environment, might be pretty cool as well. When it comes to the Vision OS and potentially not only the Vision OS but also the headset itself, is eventually this may go away in terms of a spatial computer where you have the face mask over your face. If you are a fan of the Marvel Universe and you've seen Tony Stark at work in his workshop, he's got, all these applications, and he's blowing up, schematics, and he's looking at videos, and he's just flipping things around with his hands, using hand gestures and all of that. But it's all in his space. He's not wearing the headset to do that. He's just kind of, these things just exist in the real world, in the environment. They're projected as holograms. And then he's able to interact with them. Hopefully this is kind of the beginning of us going down that road, and we get similar technology like that. And you basically have gear set up in your house that projects everything in front of you like Iron Man. So you can just sit here at the kitchen table. You don't have any device on your head. You don't have to worry about pass-through because everything's 100%, using your own eyes in terms of the real world. And right in front of you, you've got your windows and things, and you can move things around using your hand gestures and things and expand them and blow them up and do all the things that you see Tony Stark do. Maybe, just maybe, this is the beginning of that technology as we go forward. Eventually, we lose the headset, and you just have these devices in your home that project this all around you, and you just, that to me would be the coolest thing ever. So that's what I look forward to. Now, one other thing that's really nice about having a headset such as this, or maybe even something kind of like a Ray-Ban type of glasses situation, which if you've ever listened to the founder of Oculus and his talk about, he doesn't think this type of technology will get as small as a pair of sunglasses. I'll try and link that video here in the comments later. It's a really good video. It's very interesting to hear from the Oculus guy in terms of what he thinks about the Apple Vision Pro and where things may potentially go. But having the headset is great right now because a lot of use cases we're seeing on social media is people on the train, the subway, airplanes, where they're wearing this thing. They're able to do whatever they want to do, whether it's work, whether it's game, whether it's watch a movie. Nobody else around them has any clue what they're looking at. And, paired up with a pair of, AirPods, you can't really hear what's going on. But there are some instances where folks would love to have things like a HUD view. So if you think about, again, Iron Man, in the Iron Man suit specifically, he's got basically built into his visor. Jarvis has all the different, things on it, like the altimeter and, weapons systems and system statuses and all these things. Being able to have some things dockable like that, whether we're talking things like battery status or time. If you're somebody who has ADHD, for example, it may be great to have the ability to dock something like a timer right in your field of vision so that whenever you're doing those 20-minute sprints, right, to try and keep yourself on track, that's always front and center, and you know what's going on. Again, battery status and things like that. But, long term, I think, we get this set up in such a way that this technology evolves to the point of, a lot of the Iron Man things. I think it's going to be a really, really cool thing to really experience. All right, everyone. Well, that wraps up today's conversation around some of the top requested features from end users and developers alike for Apple's Vision Pro. My name is Sean. I'm a dad who does everything. Like and subscribe, and thanks for stopping by.